I disagree with this, and I still think it's harmful to trans people. You can still have biological children with a trans partner, in the same way that, like, 2 lesbians can have a biological child, 2 gay men can have a biological child. Yes, it's a lot harder to have biological children when you're not in a cis-het relationship, but it's still possible. Is it expensive? Yes. But that's something that I feel like a lot of people in the LGBT community go through if they want kids. I don't. No. I'm too poor to have children. But for my LGBT people that do want to have kids, and you want a loving partner to have those children with, I feel like you still shouldn't be discriminating against your partner if they're trans when looking for a partner. It still feeds into this stigma that trans people are not their gender when they are. A trans man is a man and a trans female is a female. It just makes the community more loving and accepting.
I just need my brain to just process for a second. I'm just trying to figure it out. Right, so is he basically saying, like, for example...
He's saying a man and a man can have a child.
Yeah.
Can a man and a man have a child? A biological child?
Yeah, because what they can do is they can get their...
Stop, turn the camera off.
No.
Turn it
they
off.
can get they can just be like, you know how sperm donor is? They can do that and then give it to someone else to have the baby.
Can a man and a man have a child together?
Physically, no.
Right.
But can they create one that is biological to them? Yes, they can.
No, but one of them is going to use their sperm on the woman, not both of them.
Okay, I get your point.
A man and a man cannot produce a child. A woman and a woman can't produce a child. A man and a woman has to produce a child together. That is the only way it is biologically theirs. It is not discrimination to look for a partner that you can reproduce with.
So is he trying to say people are discriminating if they don't want to get with someone because they can't have a kid with them?
Yeah. This is my problem with this whole inclusivity thing. You are denying biological realities in the pursuit of being more inclusive and more friendly. If I date a man, I will never be able to have a child with him. It is not physically possible. Yeah, it is one thing to want to be something and you want people to see you as that. It is another thing to absolutely spit in the face of reality. It doesn't make any sense.
I get what you're saying, but do you not think he's coming more so from a place of don't shut down certain options because there is ways of making it work? Yes, they won't be able to both biologically be part of that child, but maybe they could have 2 kids and it's one each and it's still their kids that they're raising and growing together.
Yeah, no, they can have that. But the person in the video, the one that he was responding to, was saying that it's understandable if somebody wants to go and find, like if I go and find a female to impregnate, or if you go and find a man so he can impregnate you. If you decide to start dating girls, you will never have a child with that woman. You will need some sort of medical intervention.
Yes.
Right? It is not possible, whether you identify as that gender or not, to have a child with another man. That guy cannot have children with another man. You can't have children with a woman, whether she becomes trans male or not, right? If she's a trans man, she still can't have children. We know this.
So what about if there was I don't know how you word these things, but there's a woman who became a trans man through surgery, and then a man gets with that person. Because that person was once a woman, does that mean that they could still get pregnant scientifically, and then realistically it's still 2 men because it's a trans man and they're still having a baby? I don't know how it all works. I'm actually asking.
But we know that it's a woman because they can give birth. Women are the only people on this planet with the ability to give birth.
But they've had a sex change. So do you see what I'm saying though? Michael, do you not understand what I'm saying?
If you transition today, or however long it takes, we are able to identify you're a woman, despite what you look like or identify as, despite what, if you don't want me to call you Sabi anymore and you want me to call you Jem, I will call you Jem. But if you produce a child, what does that tell you?
I'm still a female biologically.
Female, right?
Yeah.
Now, you want to be a woman, that's what you want to identify as, fine. But you cannot deny biological reality. Women will always have the capacity to give birth unless there is some sort of medical deficiency, right? But the exception doesn't make the rule, right? The exception proves the rule because we understand that women that can't give birth, there's something wrong there. Unless that is the case, you will always be able to give birth whether you transition or otherwise, unless you mess up your body in the transition or whatever goes on, I don't know. He's saying a man and a man can produce a child. They cannot. It is not possible. Right? It's not possible.
No, yes. Scientifically, biologically, not possible, yes.
Okay. My other problem with what he's saying is that it's not fair, it's not inclusive to not seek out a partner that is trans. Now, I believe that trans people, like anybody else, should be able to get into loving relationships with other people. But if somebody decides to not date you because you are trans, it is no different than me saying, I don't want to date white girls. It's my preference, right? Maybe you don't want to date guys that are 5'5". Maybe you don't want to date black guys. Maybe that's your preference. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have preferences. I don't know. Maybe you don't like guys with small feet. It's a preference. It doesn't matter how anybody else feels. I don't have to include everybody in my preferences.
Yes, I agree with you.
For anyone to say not dating trans people is transphobic or it's not fair, that's ridiculous. You know it's ridiculous. I know people that don't date white people. I know white guys and girls that don't date black people. They're not racist. They just don't want to. They don't have to. I'm sure you got your preferences. You don't have to say them on camera. I've got my likes and dislikes. Those that shall not be named. But it's not transphobic to not want to date a trans person. They are the same as the rest of us. They are not excluded from being excluded.
The issue is that pretty much everything these days gets classed as discrimination. Like, for example, I work in property and it's getting to a point now where a landlord can't say, I don't want to accept a pet because it's classed as discrimination. But maybe they don't want the pet in their house because it can cause more damage, but they're not allowed to now say, I don't want a pet unless there's a valid reason behind it. So that's what I'm saying. There's just everything is classed as discrimination these days. Everything.
Yeah, listen, if anyone's listening to this video and you think that everyone is obligated to date you, whether you're trans, whether you're black, whether you look like me, whether you look like Sabi, whoever you look like, if you think you're obligated for people to date you, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. And no one's going to date you with an attitude like that. Except that you look a certain way and there's a certain group of people that will like the way you look and there's a certain group of people that won't. And maybe some people will like the way you look, but maybe you don't fall into like their religious affiliations, or maybe they don't really like your culture very much.
Or maybe they want to have a baby with someone like the proper way without complications.
Yeah. Because you best believe there'd be complications if they did it that way. Or there's at least a higher chance of there being complications. If we're all going to be accepting here and we're all going to treat each other equally, then that doesn't change for trans people. You are not exempt from being excluded from somebody's lists of likes. Just the same way that you are deserving of love from somebody, that doesn't mean you're deserving of everyone's love or attention. You're in the same boat, right? Trans rights are human rights. It's my right to choose whoever I want to sleep with, whoever I decide to have a child with. And if I don't want to date a trans person, or if whoever else doesn't want to date a trans person, that is not discrimination. Get over yourself.
Is that all you have to
That's
say?
all I got to say. Guy's a moron, man.